Before we start, we will start the series Napoleon, working as a delivery person and delivering goods to the store. She sees a big six who wants to buy food, but she doesn't have money, and the employee refuses to give it to her even though she assures him that her grandson will take it and party it up. He treats her like a monster and makes her fall on the sidewalk, and no one supports her. The lady tells her that she is her grandson's wife and asks her where she has been all this time. She is not surprised by what she says and tells her that she is not her grandson's wife. She asks the employee to do it like this and asks him to pray for whatever she wants, and she makes him angry and also prays for money to bring her back home and send her back, and knows that she has to go and asks her if she needs anything to call her. The lady takes her phone number and walks quickly because she is busy. Joe wakes up and we learn that he is the grandson of the sad, and we learn that she returned from traveling and blames her for leaving the airport. He knows that he has been looking for her for a while. He is Joe, the head of a large group of companies, and it is considered the largest group in the city. His grandmother blamed him because she wanted him to arrive a little early so they could meet him and get to know her. And she decides to marry Lynn, and Lynn arrives home and wants to take her mother to the hospital, but she holds her and assures her that she is fine, and we know that her mother needs an operation, and she is saving the money for the operation, and her mother tells her that she has set an appointment for her to meet someone to marry. She refuses the subject of marriage, and her mother tells her that she will not get married and will not take the treatment, and she cries, so she calms her down and tells her to do what she wants and asks her not to be upset, and she goes to the subjects, and there she is really surprised by the atmosphere that welcomes her. And when Lynn is impressed with the place, she finds Joe telling her that she will do whatever she wants, even if she wants a house like this. Joe is upset and thinks that she is greedy for him, and he asks his grandmother not to talk about anything. His grandmother introduces him to Lynn, and they know that she wants him to marry her. He knows that Lynn is just a lazy employee and a very normal person, and he wants to deal with the matter in any way. He finds them in the shower together, and the assistant comes to deal with him. His grandmother prevented him from getting closer to them, and he was surprised because Joe refused to get close to women in the first place, and he was talking to them and kept setting conditions to make the matter go away. But she agrees with everything he says, and he knows that he won't be able to escape from her. He stands shocked and keeps looking at her. His grandmother comes and is happy and asks them to arrange their marriage now. He actually goes to get the passport, and after he takes him out of Joe's office, he talks to him angrily and asks her if she meets him anywhere to tell him and tries to talk to him, but he leaves her and walks away, and he is angry and starts to complain about his assistant who brought him the girl who had been with him for 3 years. And his son knew that he was in a hotel at the time, and that a woman had entered his room and had lost consciousness. He also lost consciousness, and that's why he doesn't remember what she looks like. We know that she's the only one in his life, and that since then he's been looking for her. When she comes back home, she shows her mother the marriage papers, and her mother is happy and asks her mother to focus on her treatment and not to worry about her again. They go to check on her condition, and the doctor advises them to do the operation as soon as possible. She hasn't even saved the money yet, and he has to ask for help to have the lawyer complete the divorce procedures as soon as possible. She is walking in the street and meets the person who proposed to her, and he is harassing her. So she hits him while he leaves her and walks away. And Joe's assistant tells her and gives her the papers of the losses and gives her a card with an amount of money as compensation and asks her to review the papers and give them to Joe, and she sends him a message with him, but Joe does not read it and throws the paper in the trash. After that, she is with her friend Tanji and tells her what happened about her mother's surgery. We learn that she decided to take the cost of the surgery from Joe's money and pay him back when she has it. She wrote to him like that in the message, and Tanji tells her that she can take her money from something after he returns. We know that he took a large sum of money from her to complete his education, but now he refuses to even meet her. We know that he abandoned her and that at that time she lived through a difficult period and preferred to drink, and that she was the one who was in his room, and that something happened to her and she lost her memory for a period of her life. She doesn't know any details about this period. She goes to someone who has his daughters with him and asks him for the money. He asks the girls to leave them alone and tells her that he will return the money to her on the condition that she returns it to him. She refuses, and they know that she is marrying her, so he tries to get used to her and she hits him. We know that he lives on the girl's block that he is related to. Zhao calls him and they quarrel with each other after she finds out that he wants to divorce Lynn. And you know that she is the girl who was with him and that he was looking for and forgot about her. Either she saw her or she left his room and he was shocked and surprised. And you know that if he doesn't come back, she will throw him out of the family, so he is looking for her letter to throw it away until he finds her. Then Peru goes to look for her while she is still young. He tries to assault her and offers her a slap. She tries to get him to stop and hits him, so he hits her and she falls. They push her away while she screams. Joe is looking for her and hears her voice. He knows the room she is in and saves her and apologizes for being late while she is losing consciousness. He wishes for his beloved who has become his soulmate, and Joe gets angry with him and hits him. We know that someone works in one of Joe's companies and is fired from work, and someone doesn't know him, but when he sees Joe's assistant he knows him and who he is, and he gets promoted and allows him, but Joe refuses. He leaves his assistant and continues with him and keeps the Arabic language ready and asks the assistant not to know who he is because she thought he was just an employee, and he is planning to tell her, but after he gets closer to her because he is afraid that if she finds out that he lied to her she will ask him for a divorce. He takes her to his house, and we know that he took a small apartment so that she wouldn't suspect him. He puts her to sleep and covers her while she holds his hand and asks him to stay with her because she is afraid and keeps holding his hand. And when she pulls up, she is surprised by me next to her and she gets nervous and asks how she got here and how they are together, so they know that this is their house and they are married, so it is normal for them to be here together. And when she talks about the divorce agreement, He tells her that he canceled the subject and that they will not continue together and he wants one of us, and she gets angry with him and gets angry, and they know that she wants to leave the house, and they talk to each other and she likes the house. And he knows that he has a stable and good job, and she is surprised that he has not been in a relationship before. So he tells her why he has not kissed her before and holds her hand and confesses to her that he loves her and will love her all the time and wishes she will stay with him always, and after that he kisses her on the head. She knows that her mother is tired and goes to him, and he is with her, and her mother is doing the operation and he has to pay the bill, and he makes the hospital know that the operation was done for free, so they can use it as a model to explain to the students, and she thanks them and is happy and goes to visit her mother, and when she wakes up she gives her a letter to know about her loss. And he reassures her mother that everything is fine, and after her mother leaves the hospital they invite them to celebrate together. And he knows that this is a reward from the company because the place is very expensive, and we know that the hotel is his, and the manager tells her to ruin the world, but he catches up. And her mother asks that they change the place and go to a cheaper place, but he refuses and gives Lynn a card with an amount in it so that she can keep it with her, and she is a Rhoda, but he insists and reassures her mother that he cares about her and did not abandon her. And her mother knows from her if she gets barefoot as soon as possible, and Lynn burns herself with soap and realizes that she is going to the bathroom, and this is Joe's brother. And it is not in vain that his brother and he are connected to him, and he also makes a fuss. At first he thinks that Lynn's mother is his brother's wife, then he wants Lynn to know about Joe's lineage, who steps on his foot to shut him up, and they take their eyes off him and they know. And he also asks him to accept and spend a day with them in the house, and he warns him if his mother knows anything now and makes him leave. After that Lynn moves to live with Joe, and she chooses that each one sleeps in a room. He sees her working and goes to her, and when she comes back to the lab, he thinks she is asking him to divorce her. But she knows that he will not leave and that she does not want to be his wife because she can work and provide for her mother and herself. And you know that she is trying to submit her CV to more than one company, and the rat is waiting for her, and he knows that she works in design and he sees her designs and they are good. But the problem is that she did not enter the university and left after the year due to financial circumstances. He asks her about the company she applied for jobs with, and she shows him the list and his company is among them. He asks her to rest now and assures her that he will respond to her as soon as possible and encourages her. And indeed, his company responds to her and sets an interview date, and she is happy. The next day she goes and meets many girls who have applied with her, and she gets to know one of them named Bay, and they become friends. She learns from Bay that most of the girls come to get to know the company president's atmosphere because he is not married and she does not care about the matter. When Baby asks her if she is coming too, she tells him that she is married and that she loves him because everyone there is a university graduate, and she decides to join him even though she is sure that they will not accept her. Juby comes to see her and pushes his assistant away and tells her, and she gets nervous and goes to him and asks him to go quickly and see his work because he might be fired if anyone sees them, so he asks her to kiss him and she tells him on the cheek and he leaves, and bye. The interview ends and she is frustrated because the subject is difficult. Now you interfere even though her work is good. The managers treat her badly when they know her qualifications, and they fire her and throw his file in her face. She keeps on making amends and blaming them for their behavior, and letting them know that even if they don't accept her, they don't have to insult her like this. Today, Juby helped Diego talk to Lino and apologize to her for what happened with the managers. He takes the file from her, looks at it, and tells her that her work is excellent and that she is talented. He assures her that he will not respond to her with a single apology. After she leaves, he fires the managers who treated him badly. While she is walking, he follows him and talks to him, asking about the interview. She is surprised that he is behind her, offering her a bouquet of flowers. We know that he came after her because he knows that she is upset, and he carries her on his shoulders and runs with her. Then he stops next to a car and asks her if she was punished. She asks him to stay away from her instead of her friend quarreling with them. Then he knows that this car has become hers. She knows that she won't take it because it is definitely expensive for him, so he tells her that he bought it at a low price because it is used, and she still refuses, so he tells her that he gave it to her for her new job. And when they know that it is difficult for them to accept her, he reassures her, and they know that they will definitely accept her, so he responds to him, so they hurry up. He also tells her that the manager fired the people who treated her badly, and they call her and she finds out that they hired her for the job, and she celebrates with him and she agrees to take the car when she is sure that it is not expensive, and the next day she sits at home and finds someone waiting for her. And he tells her that he came to take his rights from her after he was fired because of her. And I know from her that she starts talking about him and that her husband is better than him, and he talks about the person she met in the hotel and got pregnant from him, and we know that she of course doesn't remember the pregnancy, and he threatens her that he will find out about her husband, and she gets angry at him and curses him, so he makes fun of her and leaves. Then, Tanji meets her friend and asks her to tell her what happened 3 years ago. We learn that she was actually pregnant and disobeyed, but Tanji doesn't want to tell her this and asks her not to think about what she said, because the person is unemployed and wants to annoy her, nothing more. She changes the subject and asks about her life with Joe, and advises her to get closer to him. After that, she falls asleep and dreams about what happened between her and Joe, but she cannot remember all the details and considers it just a dream. With time she gets closer to Joe. When she leaves, she finds that breakfast has been prepared for her, and that her mother is visiting them. Her mother is a little crazy and she introduces Najia to him so that she can get to know his wife, and he warns her if she says anything to him. She gives him the bag he has with him and goes inside to Lynn, who is surprised by her and gets nervous. Gopi calms her down and asks her to fight normally. Her mother asks her if Gopi was smart in bullying her. She also asks him to do the housework and warns him if he gets bored or complains about him. We learn that they call him in the family the old bachelor, and they believe that he is generous and will get married. After that, he celebrates the occasion of their accepting her for the job, and she asks him to save money so that they can buy a suitable house for them. He always agrees to what she says and gives her the special gift. He also gives her advice to improve her writing skills. He hears everything because Lynn makes a mistake and turns on the microphone. She is embarrassed by him, but he gets upset normally. However, when he is alone, thinking about what she said, he is happy while talking to him and provoking him because he wants to influence her in every way as quickly as possible. He closes the door in her face. Then she receives the job. No one knows that she is wanted, and of course she is mistreated because she is new, and the employees make her bring them food and drinks. There she meets Bai and learns that they have accepted her into the company, and Bai learns that her colleagues sent her to bring food, and she rejects their behavior. When things calm down because she doesn't want problems, and when she comes back I see her colleague who is pregnant and sick and stays with him, and then she is transferred to the hospital, and the head of the department asks about her. We know that she is upset with her because she caused the dismissal of 3 managers, and also because she does not have a university degree. Bai is teasing her and asking her to come quickly because what is she asking about? She goes to Shu, who gets angry at her when she sees her, and when she finds out that she was with her colleagues in the hospital, Shu of course doesn't care about that talk, and when Shu pays for her, he threatens to deduct money from her salary and continues her conversation with Alan and accuses her of entering the company in a bad way. And she means that someone mediated for her and made her know that no matter who supports her, she doesn't care, and she must know that she is just a small employee in the department and enjoys laziness, escaping from work and lying, and she gets used to her own way. He gives her a file and a name of a worker so that she can go and meet him and finish the work with him. Now she is forced to agree, even though this is not her specialty. She returns to her office frustrated, and he teases her and jokes with her to get her out of the state she is in. And you see that what she is doing is causing problems for the dependents and that she intends to expel her. And when she knows that she is doing what she has to do and whatever happens happens, and in the rest house the trader goes to eat and she keeps working, and Joe wears a mask and comes and brings her food, so he removes the mask to reassure himself and sits next to her while she eats, and she is afraid that a colleague will see them together, and she asks him to leave before they come back and he refuses, and she walks away from him, and she is sure and she knows that he has eaten before her, and she knows that he works in the group. He asks her how she met him, so she tells him that they met by chance and tells her what happened. She thinks that what happened was like a drama and she wishes to ruin his love like that. When Lynn returns home, she finds him waiting for her and celebrating her birthday with her. He gives her a ring and asks her to allow him to protect her for the rest of his life. And they know that she agrees and is affected by his behavior and hugs him and feels that this is the happiest day of her life, and the next day she is at work and he sends her messages, and what does she see and gets angry at her. And she knows that she is not allowed to waste work time playing on the phone, and she also sends him to meet a client, and Lynn is forced to agree so as not to cause a problem. We know that Shaw decided to follow her until she was fired from work, and why they came to warn her about her dealings with the employees. You know that she does not deserve to be here, and that she must surrender and leave the job. He asks her to be calm in her behavior and help the employees, not torture them. Because she expresses the group's surah and warns her again, and he stops and walks, and she also keeps deaf and changes her behavior towards us until she leaves work, and the operation that she is going to meet is called Yana, and he lives in the bar, and when she comes and talks to Yana at work, and something makes Yana know that she is his ex-girlfriend. He understands that he should take an amount from him and sell it to him, and he agrees, and we know that he decided to leave her because he was fired from his job, and he also put it in his mind that any big company is working, and he asks Lynn to drink with him, and she tells him that she does not drink, and she apologizes. He approaches her and tells her that he knows that she is selling herself for money and tries to touch her, but she restrains him, and when he goes to talk to him, he provokes him more. When she does not see him, he grabs her and stops her. He takes the girls and leaves them dependent, and she calls out to him to save her, but he does not even look at her. Wayne beats her and throws her on the couch while she resists him. Joe comes at that moment and hits her. Wayne knows that he was joking with her, so they know that he is joking with him too and will joke again. They take his room, close the door, and beat him up. Lynn is afraid for him, and he goes out and reassures her and refuses to let her see him and takes her, and they go back home, and she is scared, and he stays by her side, and when he moves she hugs him, and we know that she is also scared for me because she will report him to the police, and she asks the workers who are stopping her, and he tells her that he broke his hand, and she wants to hide because Yinwalto will definitely not leave him alone, but he reassures her and calms her down, and his mother finds out what happened, so she betrays him and accuses him of not being able to protect his wife and tells him that Yinwalto must make him pay the price. So he tells her that he will deal with the matter and asks her to stay with Campbell. This is the father of a girl who was beaten and finds out that his son is in the hospital and decides to take revenge on the person who was beaten and asks his assistant to find out who was beaten, and he goes out and he is covered in injuries, and he finds out that there is a broken arm and many injuries in addition to his arm, and Joe's brother comes to the hospital and holds his hand and stomps on it. He asks Yanni's father to come and meet Joe because he knows the person who hit his son. Joe goes to him and asks him what he would do if he met that person. He tells him that he would kill him. He asks him if he knows the reason why his son was hit. He tells him that it was because he tried to assault a young employee at the company. Jubiai says that he sees his son's behavior as normal, and they know that he is the one who hit his son because the one he tried to assault is his wife, and Yan's father feels remorse and apologizes to Yan and his brother, and we know that they caused him great losses. He makes them know that none of this is important. When she is asleep, she sees a capsule and wakes up in a panic. She finds Joe's mother next to her, hugging her and calming her down. Joe comes and she runs to him and hugs him. She apologizes for the problem she caused, and he calms her down and assures her that she did nothing wrong. The next day she goes to work, even though she was afraid to leave the house. He checks on her and apologizes for not being with her during the accident. What if she gets angry and calls him and asks him to come to the office, and there he blames her for what happened to Yano and wishes that the company gets into trouble, and that she must apologize to Yano, and tells him. Lin refuses because she doesn't have anything to do with it and she is the victim of Xian, but Shaw insists on what she says and threatens to expel her, and Lin still doesn't agree and tells her to send her resignation. What would you prepare the response paper for, and let her enjoy it, and why would it not be working, and what would you tell her that you are advising her in her reality, and according to her capabilities, because she should not have been appointed here from the beginning? She did not thank her for the advice and assured her that they would not meet again until she proved her wrong. She went out and packed her things and wanted to quarrel with Shaw, but he did not stop her and asked her to keep her job, and she left. Joe knew what happened and got angry at him because he allowed this to happen. Lu goes to shops to ask why Lin was fired, and she says that she shouldn't have worked here in the first place and that it's not right for her to do a job like Yan. Lu gets angry with her and asks her to catch up with her and make her come back, and she is surprised because this is not the first time that someone has been fired who is not qualified. He knows that if she doesn't return to work again, she will be fired, and he walks. Lin is walking and is surprised by Bayan's father and is afraid of them and wants to apologize, but she is surprised that they are the ones apologizing, and the show must have seen what happened. Yan's father offers her another gift, but she refuses to take it and makes sure that she is not upset because he thinks that she refused to forgive his son, and sometimes she forgets that he would not spend this kind of time with anyone else, and his father trains him in front of her. She threatens his son and asks him if he reported her, and he tells her no and that the matter is over, and she is happy because she was afraid for Jules Juno, and she calls me and reassures me that the matter is over. But she was fired from work, and after she left, Shaw called her and asked her to return to her job again and apologized, and Lin was surprised and returned again, and she and Baby discovered that Shaw stole her designs, and Shaw of course denied it and asked her if she had evidence to accuse her of this. When they call them out on their words, she threatens them and finds out who their manager is, that she cannot steal the design of the young employee, and she accuses Lin of stealing her designs. Leo says that she has evidence of Shaw's theft and shows the video that proves her words to Leo, who asks Shaw if she has any explanation for what happened, so she tells him that Lin is just an employee in the company. She took the company's design for the job, but her words did not convince him. Why does he know that she is dealing with the issue with him in the investigation committee? And he asks Shaw to submit her resignation. May God protect her, because there are many complaints against her. She tries to express her feelings to him, but he closes them and tells her that she is being oppressed, so she accuses her of having a relationship with Lin, so he gets angry with her and tells her that what you are doing is Joe's orders. She can't believe that a graduate of the most famous university, and the one who is called a business genius, would marry Zeline's daughter, who graduated from the annual school. He warns her if anyone finds out about the matter and leaves. Then while she was outside, she accused Lin of being the reason, but Lin made her realize that her actions were the reason for what happened to her, and she responded to her accusation, and her colleague stood by her and left them, but she decided to leave her. And Lin would be happy to know what happened and would be surprised because until now I have not accepted the president, and she would have heard rumors that he and his wife are mysterious people. He changes the subject and jokes with him and they play with each other. Then Leo tells her that the training period is over, and she has officially become his employee, and that she has also become Al-Qasim's manager. She is shocked and panics, so he tells her that he is more important than her, and that the group always supports the struggling. She gets happy when she knows the salary she will get because that way she will get the house she dreams of. She asks him if she was pregnant. Would that cause a problem? He asks him if she is really pregnant and she tells him no, meaning if that happens in the future, they know that it will be good news for them. Gobi sent her a rose and she will not accept anything. They both agree to cooperate with each other to take revenge on Lin. She knows that the softness left the child, and after that she suffered from the book and lost her memory and has no idea what happened during that period, and she does not know this, and also gives him the file that contains this information, and he sends it to the softness and calls her and asks her if she calmed down and liked it, so she accuses him of lying and tarnishes her reputation. He tells her that he will tell him part of everything and that he will destroy her, so she feels his anger and remembers things that happened, but they are not in order. And she calls her mother and asks her if he really left the child, and she knows that what he told her. Asks her not to care about what he says because he wants to defame her, nothing more. They find her wiping his tears. He takes her and they go back home. In the car, they learn that she had been depressed for 3 years and lost her memory. She confesses to him the things she thinks, but she does not confirm them with him about the child, so she does not tell him, and he calms her down, reassures her, and lets her know that he is by her side and will face anything with her. And the thing goes to him and tells him about Lena's illness, that she is a child's disability, and Joe tells him that if he doesn't walk in front of him, then they make her walk, and he rubs her and plays with her. We know that they agreed to take money from Lena, and Joe thinks about what the thing said to him, and the next day he meets him and talks to him. He doubts that the child is his son, so he pays attention to the matter and makes sure that the child is really his son. He asks him how much he wants in exchange for the information, so he asks him for 100 million, but he is surprised that Joe is training him and has recorded everything that happened between them and hands it over to the police. Joe returns home to Bella, who is asleep while she is waiting after she prepares the food. When he apologizes to her, she wakes up and asks her to have another child. We know that he is looking for the place where his son is. The next day he takes Lin and they celebrate their wedding day. We learn that he didn't tell her anything about meeting someone. They both watch the fireworks and are in a high place. They say that the troublemaker leaves her and responds to him, and what is wrong with her? She goes to her and pretends that she stole her place at work and dresses her up from above and suffers serious injuries and is taken to the hospital and needs more than one operation. She dreams about what happened in detail and knows that she actually had the child and remains in a coma after the operation she underwent, and the doctor knows that it will be difficult for her to have children in the coming period. She needs a long period of relationship, and although he is upset, he is more sad for her, and they all stay by her side until they both collapse after a month of what happened, and we know that the police have arrested her at work and Joe is retiring from Lee because he is alone. Her mother-in-law and father-in-law do not allow her to talk about the children, and when she talks about the pregnancy they change the subject, and she is afraid that she will be fired from work. But Joby reassured her that he asked for her a paid leave and the company agreed. After a while, she leaves the hospital and her mother is with her. She leaves her phone next to her and she gets a call. Lynn is the one who answers it, and it is from her employee at the nursing home. She knows that her mother gave her a child to the orphanage, and when the employee knows that the one she has with her is a street child, she quickly goes looking for information and is able to confirm that she actually gave birth before from the doctor who was treating her and tells her the exact date. Then she meets Tong and makes her confess everything to her. But she doesn't know that the child is alive. She returns home upset, and tries to act normally so that Joe doesn't notice. The next day, she goes to her mother and asks her about the child. Her mother reads and confesses the truth to her, and tells her that she handed him over to an orphanage. She went to ask about him a while ago because she felt guilty, but she was surprised that Malusi Glue was unable to reach him, and Lynn feels that she is the reason for what happened. She also feels guilty towards Joe for deceiving him, and when he comes she tells him that she wants to tell him something, but she asks him to give her time, and he agrees and assures her that nothing can keep him away from her. When she wakes up the next day, she finds a child in the house, and Joe comes and tells her that he has decided to adopt him. We know that he is looking for their son. This child has no papers, so he decided to adopt him. He fell in love with him as soon as he saw him, and she agreed. Of course, she did not know that he was looking for their son. And he lets me complete the research in the foster home, and when her condition improves because of the child they adopted, he calls them mom and dad over time, and they are happy with the development he has had because he did not talk much after that until you know that the atmosphere has improved. And she reads that he is venting on her because he lied to her, and she comes with her evil tricks, and he comes and knows that he hid from her because the first time she met him, he lied to her and told her that he was angry because he wanted to hide the matter, but after that he discovered that she is the girl he was looking for and that she was the one who was with him in the hotel. And that he is the father of the child, and that he also confirmed that the child they adopted is their son, and he confirmed his identity and introduced himself to her again and proposed to her again. But their marriage this time will be different because there is nothing they can hide from each other, and they stop and have a clear party this time. Here is the space for peace.